Today marks another beautiful day in Manhattan. The smell of refreshing air bursting through the window, mixing with my steamy coffee, like best friends reminiscing nostalgic stories. My favorite fragrance invites me to the window where I can see all of Central Park. That view gets me every time. The lush green sheep meadow, I guess they call it that because of the way people seem to graze around the landmark. Even as I say it, the thing kinda gives me the creeps, to be honest. It's not so much the look of it, even though the sight of it kinda is off-putting compared to anything I would typically call a landmark. I think it has been there forever, though I have no recollection of it ever being there. It's not even the way everyone seems to exist around it without protest. That thing that really gets me is that sometimes when I think about it, I remember something else. But the image is always gone faster than it is found. Almost like my mind was protecting me, or like something was trying to protect itself from my mind. Or I was just making it all up, and this is a product of my own wandering thoughts. All these ideas send me into nervous giggles. Something about it really lingered in the back of my mind. After a moment's pause, I got a call from my longtime friend, Fent. He's always had a willpower about him that broke any kind of dread, but something was different about him this time. It seemed way more intense than ever. He then asked me in a very expectant tone,
David, did you think about the landmark?
It honestly choked me from making a response.
You don't have to respond. I know you did. We all did. You, my brother, my neighbor across the hall, have all thought about it. And not like a normal thought. No. This thing is calling to us. Like it was always supposed to. Like everything in history has led us to this pivotal point.
The way he said that sent a nerve-shattering chill up my spine. I couldn't help but understand what he meant. It was as if the landmark pried its way into my mind, forcing me to think about it. I want to look at this with a sensible mindset, but something inside me screamed that my very existence is in danger. The overwhelming sense of doom was no longer deniable. At this point, I could only ask what he planned to do.
What we are destined to do, friend.
His tone drove a panic that I couldn't ignore.
Think about it. This thing has more or less hid under our societal radar since the beginning of time, as we know it till now. Why? Because it's ready for us. Look, I'm heading there now. Meet me at the landmark.
And before I could say anything in response, he hangs up. The thought of heading there now made me feel nauseous and made my mouth water like I was going to lose my breakfast, but I wasn't going to let my friend go near the landmark alone. As soon as I left my door, I couldn't help but notice everyone was walking in the same direction. I'm sure if you could see an overhead image of Central Park right now, as if it would look like a piece of meat under a blanket of scurrying maggots. The trail itself felt so cold. The air felt heavy, dry, and painful as it filled my lungs. As I walked, I considered turning back. No curiosity was worth endangering my well-being, and this seemed unwell. I could sense the overwhelming confusion within everyone, a mob mentality hoping someone, anyone, will be a voice of reason to lighten the attention. That voice never came. We all trekked in complete silence. I have never seen Central Park so full, so quiet, like a band of prisoners walking to the chopping block. Even though the walk was discouraging, he's got to have some kind of reasonable response to all of this. that in mind, I can't shake the feeling that a stranger is walking menacingly in my skin, like the steps as I made them are made by me, but under another initiative. I don't know if it's my own morbid curiosity or something else, but I need to find Mark so we can get this over with. As I drew closer to the landmark, a sense of dread crept up my spine like an electric eel. Everyone is standing still, like dazed sheep. As I made my way through the silent crowd, I could see Mark. His face was pale, clammy, just like he figured something out, and it wasn't good. Hey, Dan, look, man, we need to get out of here.
It doesn't matter.
What are you talking about?
Even if we run away, we'll find ourselves here eventually.
At this moment, everyone, including Dan, proceeded to march toward the landmark. Everyone had this glazed look like nothing else mattered outside what lied ahead. Nothing else mattered outside the marker. A giant stone spike, standing tall like a harbinger of the end, surrounding by a moat of water with an end yet to be discovered. I tried to keep up with Dan, but he was gone in an instant. It's taken everything not to get trampled by the dazed and overwhelming crowd. From every angle, the possessed mob buried themselves within the water trench, one after another, going into the water, but no one coming back up. I had no choice but to leap before getting dragged into the drench myself. I tried to push and shove my way through the crowd, but it was like trying to impede an ongoing marching band. I finally broke off the river of people, giving me an opportunity to report what's going on. I used my cell phone in an attempt to call the authorities, but the lines are busy. I walked to a slightly elevated spot so I could see what's going on. I don't think I'll ever be able to forget such a sight. Mounds of people shoving mounds of other people underwater. No one seems to react. The line remains consistent, sending many more to their deaths. Why am I not joining the pool party? Why am I the only one who seems to be unaffected? None of this made sense. It's getting dark, and the line seems to be gaining. I've seen police officers, ambulance drivers, and many others walk to the landmark with all that same glazed look. The overwhelming sense of the end caused me to just collapse into the soft wet grass and give into my heavy closing eyes. Maybe a small nap will help me gather my thoughts. As I gather myself from what felt more like an unsatisfying blink rather than actual sleep, I noticed a massive crowd of people disappeared. It was disturbingly quiet. The wind was still. An undeniable tension was building within me. It felt like trying to sneak past a sleeping bear. Almost like I was in the presence of something incredibly dangerous that just simply overlooked me, an insignificant crumb left behind a massive feast. I start to feel waves of vibrations tremor vigorously beneath my feet. The disgusting feeler of an unwanted answer lies before me. The landmark prying into my vision, twisting its hideous fingers into the depths fiber of my mind. It knows I'm here. I'm sure of it. I could feel it in my gut. I felt cold and dirty, like a pointless to continue breathing, a deep shame that I can't be shaken. I get closer to the watery pit surrounding the landmark. The putrid fumes for the water send me to the ground. The nausea smacks me with each wave, that horrible smell. It was as I feared. As I approached the dark murky waterhole, I can see all the bodies, all the faces. They look so content, like they all were at peace, being crammed in this watery grave like canned sardines. Men, women, children, all in hideous contortions. They were bloated, and some appeared to have exploded from the pressure of the others. The sight leaves me feeling repulsed to the point of sickness. I feel like a traitor to humanity. If I had the spine to face this like everyone else, I wouldn't be left here to pick up the pieces. I felt so empty. I felt like the world was dead, drained of everything that once gave it life. The quiet felt unnatural, and I felt completely alone. Almost. Something about the landmark still felt like it was teeming with life. It had this vibration about it. I started to walk away from it as the vibrations turned into a full-on earthquake. It shook me to the point I could no longer stand. It's the body. They're moving. The arms, legs flailing at once, limbs struggling for a way free themselves of a massy, fleshy knot they are trapped within. The monstrosity moved from one uniform entity. The abomination crawled from the depths of the slimy pit like a tortured centipede lifting the landmark, standing taller than anything I've ever seen and still growing. The frightening screams emanated from the thing sounded worse than a tower of burning victims. I never felt so small. I was in the presence of something colossal, a true manifestation of evil. This planet was being taken by an angry god. I felt like it see me, but took me as seriously as an ant that was banished from his colony. My idea of sanity at this point is thin. I ran to the creature, filled with rage and desperation. I punched it just to be grabbed by several arms, swinging and yanking me higher and higher up to the skyscraper of flesh and bone. I would fight to loosen its grip in attempts to fall to my death just to be caught by another hand on the way down. I am dragged and pulled to the top of where I see the landmark held in a throne of various parts. I feel skin and muscle moving under my feet, drawing me closer to it. It forced my hands to touch its cold, stony surface. An energy blast through me like electricity. The sensation of pain is accompanied with unrelenting muscle spasms that's intensified to the point of full bodily destruction. My bones started snapping and shattering, sending shards of bone throughout my skin that became less crippling the more my being conformed. Moving muscles and organs leaking from my wounds, slithering and meddling with the creature. I became one with it, one with everyone, as I feel my entire being conforming to what was once considered the human race. I take this last moment to look out blue sky once more and breathe in the still, satisfying, cool air. We then are compelled to work as one body, slithering down the endless dark abyss to meet the true creator of the landmark.